What are your favorite foods from foreign countries?
Chinese food.
Oh, I like Italian food.
Sausage called linguiça.
Couscous from Morocco, North Africa.
I like goulash.
Beef goulash. I like to eat Armenian kind of food.
Rice cooked in grape leaves.
Lasagna, spaghetti.
Sukiyaki.
I like ham noodles. Matcha.
Couscous is a kind of a baked semolina.
Taco, this is something like tortilla, you know. The arroz con pollo is chicken with rice.
What foods do you associate with special holidays?
Well, turkey for Christmas, ham at Easter.
Matzah on Passover.
The New Year Day, we eat a lot of rice cake.
Why do you like different kinds of food?
Well, I'm a great believer that variety is the spice of life.
No matter where in the world you live, you can get a balanced diet.
That means eating foods from the 4 food groups.
You can get the nutrients you need to live and grow. All the vitamins, the minerals, the protein, the carbohydrates and fats from food from all over the world.
And you can find 44322. That is 44322. Wait a minute. 44322.
You mean 4432 also, Wilbur?
4 servings a day of fruits and vegetables, 4 servings of bread and cereal, 3 servings of milk or cheese, and 2 servings of meat, fish, or chicken.
That's 4432.
That's 4432.
That's 4432.
Oh, that's right. 4432.
And you can get it anywhere in the world for the food you eat.
I'm Manny.
And I'm Mulligan. And we're Mulligan Stew. Yeah!
Kids, guess what? Kids, have I got news for you? Kids, when do you hear this? Kids! Kids! You kids!
Hey!
What happened? What's going on?
Everything went dead. What idiot pulled out the plug?
Hi, kids, it's me. Wilbur Do-Right.
Oh, hi, Wilbur. How you been doing, man?
Over with the melon.
Mulligan Stew, wait till you hear this.
I can hardly wait.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, hold it. This is really important.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Come on, kids, hold it down. Let's hear what Wilbur's got to say. Come on, then, Wilbur, out with it. Yeah,
come
Now,
on.
I happen to have here an assignment
Simon.
from
Up.
upstairs.
Upstairs? You have an assignment for us from upstairs? Let's hear it already. Stop wasting so much time.
Yeah, Wilbur, stop acting like James Bond already.
Yeah, come on, Wilbur, let's hear the assignment.
Hurry up already.
Okay, I'll tell you all about it.
It's about time.
Now, upstairs wants us to undertake a highly special assignment.
Us? You mean us, the Mulligan Stew, don't you?
No, I mean us, the Mulligan Stew, plus us, me.
Oh, no.
Come on, Manny, let's hear what the assignment is.
Upstairs wants us to figure out a meal for the kids of all nations who are coming to the National 4-H Center for the Giant International Night.
What?
Yes, the kids are coming from all over the world, and upstairs wants us to figure out a meal that all the kids can eat that will represent all of their homelands so that they can sample a little bit of each other's home cooking, too.
Boy, that's a tough assignment.
But that's not all. The food that the kids are going to eat at the international meal, as always, has got to be nutritious and good tasting. A well-balanced meal.
Boy, Wilbur, I hope you know this isn't going to be easy.
Well, that's precisely why they gave it to you, Mulligan, and the rest of the Mulligan Stews. Now, the question is, can you do it? Can the Mulligan Stew come through once more? Can we lift our heads high, throw out our chests, and say to the world, yes, world, we can do it. The Mulligan Stew accepts this challenge.
Wilbur, will you hold it down? I'm trying to think.
You mean we actually gotta cook this meal?
Why not? We can always get them help, and I think it'll be fun. Okay, now, we've got to investigate. We've got to find out what foods we can make and serve the kids from all over the world. Find out how nutritious they are, and plan a well-balanced meal that will be good to eat. Fun to eat.
Right. Food's gotta be fun to eat, too.
Okay, now let's go out and start gathering our information. We'll meet back here in 4 hours.
But what'll I do?
You'll stand here and lift your head up high, throw your chest out. We'll see you later, Wilbur. Millions of years ago, man hunted for his food in the wilds of the forest. He hunted for foods like wild pig, deer, fish, and the longhorn cattle. They gave him food from the meat group.
Oh, yes. That was the time when man was truly a man. I can see him now, standing on the mountainside, the sun beating down on his back, muscles rippling, the conqueror of all he surveyed. No worries, no income tax, no unemployment insurance. No unemployment insurance.
Today it's different. Farmers and ranchers all over the world raise animals, especially for food.
Hogs give us ribs, pork chops, sausages, pig knuckles, and chitlins.
Pork fried rice.
Bacon and ham.
A ham? I, Wilbur Do, ride forth assistant to the understudy of last year's Christmas party. A ham? Not I.
Meat from hogs gives us protein. You also get protein from turkey.
And you get turkeys from eggs. And you get eggs from other turkeys.
And they all contain protein.
Wait a minute. You get protein from turkeys, and you get turkeys from eggs, and you get eggs from other turkeys. Now, they all contain protein. Turkeys, eggs, I don't get it. Now I get it. Ugh.
Everybody knows that milk comes from cows, and goats too sometimes. But did you know that from milk comes butter, cheese, cottage cheese, sour cream, and ice cream?
You're putting me on.
Nope. And from beef cattle, you get lots of different kinds of meat. You get liver and stew meat, you get steaks and roasts and hamburger.
Corn, peas, and beans come from the seeds of a plant.
I bet you don't know what part of the plant an asparagus comes from.
Asparagus comes from the stem or the stalk. So does celery and broccoli.
What about carrots?
Carrots come from the root of the plant. So do potatoes and onions.
What foods you get from the leaves of plants?
You get cabbage, collard, and turnip greens, kale, spinach, lettuce.
How about grapefruits, pears, oranges, apples, tomatoes?
That's the fruit!
And you can get all the nutrients you need, all the vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats from foods all over the world.
Lasagna from Italy.
Skiaki from Japan. Chili from Mexico.
Catfish and cornbread from the deep south, USA.
A goulash from Hungary.
Beef stroganoff from Russia.
Swiss cheese from Wisconsin. Lox and cream cheese on a bagel from the delicatessen.
Hi! How are you? It's good to see you. Hey, would you like to see the farm?
Yeah!
Come on!
You wanna grow up tall and strong.
You got to eat right.
You wanna feel like you belong.
You got to eat right.
Let me tell you that you can't go wrong if you eat right. If you eat right, that means making sure you're eating a balanced diet. Make sure you're getting the nutrition you need. Make sure you're eating a balanced diet. make sure you're eating a balanced diet. That's where it's at, baby, that's where it's at. Gotta eat right, that's where it's at.
So that's our problem, Grandma. We have to make a dinner that will have foods in it from the different kids' native lands, and foods that they can sample to learn about what other kids eat.
And they have to be nutritious, too. And the meal has to be well balanced.
Right. And each of the kids from the Mulligan Stew is out getting facts and information on how to plan a menu right now. And then we're going to meet back at the kitchen and cook the meal ourselves.
Out of sight. I know just the food you should have for your party. In Sweden, where your grandpapa and I was born, we would love the smorgasbord. It has food from all over. It has the cheese and the fruit and the bread and the meat and the fish. Food from all 4 food groups. Get your pad and pencil and we'll start.
And so I thought you'd give me some advice, Uncle Charlie, because some of the kids who will be at the International Night are from China, Korea, Japan, all over the Orient.
Well, you're going to have some food from their homeland, too. Otherwise, they're going to be very hungry and homesick.
That's what I meant. So do you have any suggestions to serve food as part of our international meal?
Do I? You better start taking some notes. This is going to blow your mind. As a beginner, suppose we have some kimchi, some mandu, some Chinese black mushrooms, some sukiyaki.
Hey, you from the other Italian market? Are you trying to steal my secrets?
Nah, I'm one of the Mulligan Stew kids. And we're trying to figure out a well-balanced menu with foods from all the different nations in it.
What for?
Well, we prepare the menu and we make the meal. It's for the kids who are coming over for the big international night.
Any Italian kids gonna be there?
Sure, kids from all over.
Right on. You come with me, I give you my recipe for the best spaghetti and meatballs, the best eggplant parmesan, the best minestrone this side of Rome.
What's minestrone?
That's the best vegetable soup you ever put in your mouth.
So I gotta come up with some real soul food. That'll be familiar to the black kids from this country. And that'll turn on kids from different countries all over the world.
Well, that ain't no problem, Manny. All of my cooking's good enough to turn on any kid. How about fixing some hush puppies, collard greens, and pork barbecue? You want to know my secret recipe for fixing black-eyed peas?
Right on.
Goulash, garbanzo beans, and guacamole, romaine, rice, and ravioli, spinach, sauerkraut, and cold spumoni. That's a delicious trip around the world.
Whether you're from here or there,
Black or white,
up or down, dark or fair,
big or light,
we're all alike.
we're all alike.
'Cause we all like.
We all like to eat. Goulash, garbanzo beans, and guacamole, romaine, rice, and ravioli, spinach, sauerkraut, and cold spumoni. That's a delicious trip around the world.
Kids are kids.
In Boston and Brussels,
Texas and Tahiti,
Rhode Island and Russia,
Albany and Africa.
Harlem and Holland.
Kids are kids.
The kids all like to eat. Goulash, garbanzo beans, and guacamole, romaine, rice, and ravioli, spinach, sauerkraut, and cold spumoni. That's a delicious, nutritious, delicious trip around the world. What country are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Me too. I come from Scotland.
I come from Germany.
What part?
From the north, near the border of Denmark.
I come from Venezuela.
What country do you come from?
I'm from Costa Rica.
England.
Where do you come from?
Norway. From northern India, a place known as Uttar Pradesh. It is one of the states.
What kind of foods do you eat in Sweden?
Oh, I eat very much
potatoes and meat.
What kind of meat?
Pigs.
What do you have for breakfast in Jamaica?
It depends on the type of work you do. If your job is light, you'll have a light breakfast, eggs, toast, tea, or coffee and orange juice. Whereas if you have to do a hard work, you'll have to eat bananas along with meat. What do I have for breakfast? Well, in the cold winter months, and it can be very cold, we have porridge and bacon and egg usually.
Then what do you eat for lunch?
Lunch, beef à la Lindström and...
What are your favorite foods?
Well, I like very much the famous German Bratkartoffel, the fried potatoes with a nice glass of beer and a fried egg with it, and afterwards a bit of apple strudel.
What do you have for lunch?
Well, lunch is varied. If you had a light breakfast, then you'll have a heavy lunch, such as chicken or bananas and ackee and saltfish, which is a national dish.
Now, for dinner, most usual in Holland is that we are eating potatoes with a bit meat and with vegetables.
Because of your religion, are there any foods that you're not allowed to eat?
Yeah, there are. The Hindus are not allowed to have beef. And the Muslims in our country, there are about 74 million, they are not allowed to have pork.
And what are you?
I'm a Hindu.
Okay, and what about you?
I'm a Hindu.
Uh-huh, and what about you?
I'm a Sikh. I'm allowed to eat everything.
Yes, I like your American dishes because I like a lot of meat and vegetables. So I do enjoy them so far.
What's your favorite food in America?
Well, I liked actually everything I had up to now. I think it is so nice that we always have milk with our meals and orange juice or tomato juice in the morning. I think that's very, very good for our health.
Did you know that one slice of pizza contains food from all 4 food groups?
I don't believe it.
The bread and cereals group, the fruit and vegetables group, the meat group, the milk group.
And there are lots of other foods from all over the world that give you a balanced diet.
Tacos from Mexico. They're made with meat, cheese, lettuce, tomato, onions, and tortillas, which is a flat bread. Chinese egg rolls. They can be made with meat, fish, bean sprout, egg, flour, and butter. Crepes from France. You can add a lot of different fruits, vegetables, meats, and cheeses to crepes, which is really another kind of flat bread.
Smorgasbord from the Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Denmark. It's like a whole lot of different foods all put together. It's like a great party. There are cheeses and breads and potatoes, fish and meats, fruits and vegetables. You just name it.
And Mulligan Stew, it's everything you want it to be. It's what's happening.
So you can get a balanced diet anywhere in the world.
Right on!
Hi, kids.
Wilbur, you're impossible.
I am?
Don't take it literally, Wilbur. With you, anything is possible.
Thank goodness.
Okay, let's compare notes and get started.
Right, let's compare notes and get started.
Okay, Mickey, what did you find? For the Oriental kids, let's have skiaki. Great. That has meat and vegetables. That's 2 food groups. And chili con carne and tacos for the Mexican and Spanish kids. Yeah, that has foods in it from the meat group, milk group, fruits and vegetable group, and bread and cereal group. Right.
I got a good recipe here for rice, barbecue ribs. That'll be out of sight.
Rice and ribs, that's great.
Okay, how about you, Mike? What did you find?
I got lots and lots of ideas for the menu, but I narrowed it down to spaghetti and meatballs, ratatouille, Italian bread, and spumoni for dessert.
And my grandmother taught me how to prepare a smorgasbord. And I learned of new ways to make Swedish meatballs and fresh vegetable platters. That'll not only taste good and be good, but it looks good, too.
Oh, I can hardly wait.
Man, what a feast this is gonna be.
Right. And now we have foods from the meat group, milk group, fruits and vegetable group, and bread and cereal group. All 4 food groups. That's the healthiest and best tasting meal I ever planned.
Me too, and it sure is gonna be a gas.
Oh, you're so right. Well, let's write down everything so we can go shopping and put it on our shopping list.
That's what we've been doing, Wilbur. See? Okay, then. The menu is settled. Let's go out and buy the stuff we need and then fix it.
Yay!
Hey, what are you so happy about, Wilbur?
Well, about going shopping with you kids for the International Night Dinner.
You? Who said anything about you was going?
I did. You want to make something of it?
No, man. If you want to come shopping with us, you come shopping with us. Yeah. bet you guys don't know what chitlins is.
Chitlins? Yeah, that's a group of little kids.
A lot of little chickens?
A Japanese beetle? A South American cocoa bean?
Nope.
Chitlins. Now, that must be spelled with a C, or is it spelled with a T?
Chitlins is soul food. Comes from the inside of the hog, and is it good.
Really, I didn't know that.
Wait, I'll find a riddle for you. Just hang on in there. Give me the nickname of the English sailors of the late 18th century who suffered from a vitamin deficiency called scurvy and who were given as a cure 1 cup of lime juice aboard ship every morning in a tin cup.
Limeys!
Limeys. What did you say? Did you say limeys? Limeys. That's right, limeys. Limeys.
The recipe for ratatouille says to line the pot with olive oil and add garlic before you lay the vegetables, right? How's the eggplant coming, Mickey? Just fine. I'm almost ready. How about you, Maggie? Zucchini is easy to slice. I'll be finished in no time. How you doing, Mike?
Sliced green pepper's coming right up.
Man, this is fun. How you doing with the onions, Wilbur?
I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's all gonna be so good.
Well, you'll just have to wait until the International Night tonight if you want any, Wilbur.
But I'm hungry now.
Man, food really helps get it together. Like dinner time with the family.
Or on family occasions like weddings and birthday parties.
Or special holidays, like Thanksgiving and Halloween.
Ooh, Thanksgiving. Mashed potatoes, cranberries, corn, sweet potatoes, pumpkin pie, turkey. Oh, I love that bird.
Watch it, Buster! That's one of my relatives!
Sorry?
Eating and sometimes not eating is a part of some religious holidays and ceremonies, like Easter, Christmas, and Passover. Then food takes on a special meaning. Food makes you feel good, inside and out. It makes you want to get together with the kids. Food gets everybody together.
Right on.
The breads and cereals can be found in food from all over the world. Like tortillas from Mexico, pumpernickel from Scandinavia.
Rice cakes from China.
Hush puppy from the deep south.
Cornbread, whole wheat bread, rye bread. Italian bread, and Danish pastry, onion rolls and bagels from Brooklyn.
Like man, you need nutrients to live and grow.
Protein's a nutrient, so you need protein to live and grow.
Oh! Minerals are nutrients, so you need minerals to live and grow.
Vitamins are another important nutrient.
Carbohydrates and fat are important nutrients, so you need carbohydrates and fat to live and grow. Yeah!
Looks like our dinner's a really big success. Sure is.
Yeah, the kids here are eating food that they never knew existed before.
And enjoying it, too.
Right, and this food is not only good for you, but it tastes good, too.
No, this smells good.
You said it, Wilbur. You said it. Come on, let's join the fun.
You wanna grow up tall and strong.
You got to eat right.
You wanna feel like you belong.
You got to eat right.
Let me tell you that you can't go wrong if you eat right. If you eat right, that means making sure you're eating a balanced diet. Make sure you're getting the nutrition you need. Make sure you're eating a balanced diet. Baby, you got to follow this lead. You wanna grow up looking fine. You wanna know the healthy signs. Feeling good is yours and mine. If you eat right, if you eat right, that means making sure you're getting vitamins, proteins, minerals, and carbohydrates and fat. Make sure you're eating a balanced diet. That's where it's at, baby, that's where it's at. You wanna grow up tall and strong. You wanna wanna feel like you belong.
You got to eat right.
Let me tell you that you can't go wrong if you eat right. If you eat right. But first make sure you're getting vitamins, protein, minerals, and carbohydrates and fat. Make sure you're eating a balanced diet. That's where it's at, baby, that's where it's at. You gotta eat right, that's where it's at.
Welcome, everybody. Hi, I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16mm educational films. That last one was part of the series Mulligan Stew. Mulligan Stew, of course, was a group of kids who were in a rock band and also solved mysteries or projects, missions related to nutrition. And the film was made by the 4-H. And so it has all these really odd songs. At least 3 per episode. And the kids sing them. Really great stuff. Great stuff. It's from that time, like, when all the kids programming had a group that was in a band that solved mysteries. So that was during your Scooby-Doos, that was during your, what was that buggy one? Crap, can't remember. Jabberjaw. There were so many of them. So we're watching old 16mm films, and I actually have a piece of equipment that lets me do it. And the film is threaded up. So this next film is The Service Station. So this teaches kids about what the service station is. And so right off the bat, this film is antiquated because it's rare that the service station exists in its current form. Many of them have been replaced by convenience stores that have gas. There are... then you get your car actually serviced somewhere else. You don't actually go to the gas station to get your car serviced. You go to a place that services cars. So here we go, the service station. Man, something weird's going on. Hold on. Sorry. Technology, man. Technology. Hold on. I had a little software glitch here. Working on it. Working on it. Huh. That's interesting. 1 second. Oh, I see what's going on. 1 second, please. There we go. Thunderbolt cable came out of the back of my Mac, so there you go. Technology, man.
In every neighborhood today, there is a service station
You can probably remember seeing one in your own neighborhood. Here you can buy gasoline and oil for your car. And you receive many other services as well. Because so many people have cars today, service stations are very important. Long ago, there weren't many service stations. You probably know the reason why. In those days, long ago, there weren't many automobiles. The few there were would seem funny to us today. People wore special coats to keep dirt from the dusty road off their clothes. And the goggles kept dust out of their eyes. If you had lived in those days, you would have found that a drive in the family car was a real adventure. Something like a pioneer adventure. If you had a flat tire, as you often did on such poor roads, there wasn't a service station nearby to have it fixed. You had to fix it yourself. Pumping up a tire by hand was hard work. But a pioneer's work is always hard. There were only a few service stations in those days. Often they were out back of the local hardware store. They weren't really service stations as we know them today, but here you could buy gasoline. If you wanted 5 gallons, the storekeeper would measure it out 1 gallon at a time. The storekeeper kept a barrel of oil on hand for your strange-looking machine. But the chances were you'd have to show him where to put the oil. In those days, long ago, there were few service stations because only a few people owned cars. Today, there are a great many cars and trucks. Cars carry people to work, on trips, and on vacations. Trucks carry many things that people need from place to place. Service stations are much different today because they serve so many more people. Today, big tank trucks deliver large amounts of gasoline to a service station. The driver takes out a long, heavy hose from his truck. There are large storage tanks underground at every service station. The driver puts one end of the hose in a hole that leads to an underground tank. The other end of the hose is connected to his tank truck. He then pulls a handle that starts the gasoline flowing from his truck through the long, heavy hose to the underground storage tank. A meter shows how many gallons of gasoline are going into the underground tank. The underground tanks hold enough gasoline for many automobiles. It is brought up to your car by these familiar pumps above ground. Men who run service stations are called dealers or managers, and a man who works for them is called an attendant. The attendant finds out what kind and how much gasoline you want. He then gets the pump ready for a new sale. The attendant takes out a long hose. He places the hose in your car's tank. As he squeezes the handle, gasoline pours into the tank. The attendant watches the numbers on the pump. If you want 5 gallons, he'll stop the pump when 5 gallons are delivered. Other numbers on the pump show how much money the 5 gallons cost. The attendant also checks under the hood of your car. He looks to see if there is enough water in your radiator. If more is needed, he pulls out a special water hose to fill the radiator. He replaces the cap when the radiator is full. All cars need oil. The attendant checks to see if there is enough oil in your car. He pulls out a long metal rod from the engine. The end of the rod shows when more oil is needed. Oil is often sold at a service station in quart bottles or cans. Today's service station attendant knows exactly where and how to put oil in everybody's car. The attendant also checks your tires. He uses the air hose to do this. He places the end of the hose on the tire valve. Air goes into the tire when the button is pressed. A gauge shows how much air. Every time the button is pressed, more air goes into the tire, until the gauge shows that the tire contains the right amount. The service station attendant washes your windshield so that it's bright and clear. Then you pay him for the gasoline and oil. His other services are free. Some service stations keep the money drawer in the station house, and it's here where the attendant goes to get your change. Every car needs another kind of service, called lubrication, to make it run smoothly. The attendant pushes a handle which raises your car off the ground on a special rack. Many of the parts he lubricates are underneath the car. A device called a grease gun is designed to lubricate a car. It is used to force heavy grease into many parts of your automobile. Other parts underneath are oiled while your car is on the lubrication rack. Many useful tools are used at a service station to help the attendant do his work. This tool is used to help fix a flat tire. How much better and faster this is than long ago, when there were only a few service stations. Today, there are many cars and many service stations. You see them everywhere, serving people during the day and some of them staying open around the clock to serve people who travel at night. Service stations are everywhere. Certainly there is one in your neighborhood, too.
So, yeah, man, things have changed. It's funny, like, for a long time there were service stations, sometimes 3 or 4 on a given intersection, and that, at least in Raleigh, changed to where there's now no service stations. Like, some of them got torn down and replaced with drugstores. And then more recently with, because a lot of drugstores have merged, so then those would be empty, and then they would become mattress stores. But it's gotten to where there's not as many places to get gas, especially in Manhattan. Yeah, driving in Manhattan there used to be every so many blocks you'd see a gas station, but that has completely changed. Maybe it's because the margin that's made on gasoline is so tight. And the only places that can get away with it is convenience stores where they can sell other things. And the margin on selling pharmaceuticals is very high. And so drugstores are like, yeah, we'll, make a certain amount of money on drugs, and then also people can buy milk and cigarettes and everything else. Mattresses I don't know what the deal with that is, but suddenly a bunch of mattress stores popped up in Raleigh. And now some of them are gone. All right, so what do we got here? Oh, yeah. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you like what you're watching, you can subscribe and hit like, and also buy me coffee. Some people have been watching this when it's not live, but at other times, and have donated. So thank you so much for that. Coffee we love it. In case you're wondering, it's old, but this is actually designed by a friend of mine. It's a French press built-in mug. So there's a screen, and you put the grounds in, then you pour hot water on it, and you let it steep, and then you press this down, and the coffee comes out there, and you drink it without any grounds. It's my favorite way to make coffee. Mostly because I don't have to put filters in. I went through a period where I was breaking like 3 or 4 French presses that were made out of glass. And, every time I tried to do something, it would smash. And I'd have like steaming hot coffee grounds everywhere. And of course, no caffeine to hone my skills to actually clean it up. So this was a lifesaver. So this is called an Impress. And I think you can get them. You used to be able to get them at Target, but I think you can get them at online. They're probably $30, but I use mine every day. There's a commercial for you. Speaking of commercials, this next film is made by a North Carolina filmmaker, Walter J. Klein, and his company, which made a lot of what we call sponsored films. And what they would do, their model was they would come up with an idea for a film, and it would be something that they would distribute to TV stations and to schools, and ultimately they would look for a sponsor to pay for it, and the sponsor would pay for the distribution of the film and all that, and also pay the production costs, and this would be an ad for whatever it was. So we've seen some in the past. Big Yellow Fellow was sponsored by, I think, Charms Blow Pops, and in other films that they have, like, usually there's like a thing at the beginning and a thing at the end for the ad part, and then in the middle there might be a product placement or like a billboard they go past. Well, this one is totally an ad about pipes, and it's specifically smoking pipes. It's an interesting thing, and I feel like it was made by Tinderbox or made for Tinderbox, but I can't remember. It was one of these things that used to sell tobacco and pipes in the mall back in the 70s and early 80s. So here it is, Pipe Dreams.
Who comes to mind when you see a pipe?
Oh my goodness. Who is that? Who's that? Is that fish I've been looking for?
No.
Oh, who is it? Oh, it's a blonde-headed boy, I bet. Oh, I'll bet his name is James.
No.
Robert?
No.
It must be Stephen.
Right.
Oh, well, come on and help me fish. Where you want to look at that pipe? Reach for it.
I want
You want to?
smoke.
Oh, no. But look at it. Isn't that pretty? Feel it. Feel that. That's nice. Beautiful. That's nice.
Who comes to mind when you see a pipe?
Only place to cut back dramatically is in personnel. I don't understand why we have to cut back at all.
All we have to do is lower production output 3 to 4%, right?
Great. Just what in the world are you suggesting?
Look, what I suggest to you is that we just
Gentlemen, I appreciate your ideas. Let's break for now. I'll think it over and give you my decision tomorrow. Okay?
Who comes to mind when you see a pipe? Who comes to mind? You do as you dream of owning your first smoking pipe. Who else comes to mind? A skilled tobacconist who passes his love for handcrafted pipes on to each curious customer who wants more from smoking than just smoke. There's an unlimited variety of materials from which pipes have been made: clay, stone, ivory, bone, and a choice of metals. Yet the classic briar and the meerschaum are still the favorites. Briar comes from the burl of the white heath tree. Grown in Corsica, Italy, or Asia Minor, the briar is tough, porous, and nearly impervious to heat. The briar may be 50 to 100 years old when harvested for pipe making. Because no two burls grow alike, perhaps 1 in 1,000 briar pipes created each year may have a uniformly fine grain pattern and perfection of finish. Though they may cost several $100s, these absolutely perfect pipes, or firsts, represent the pinnacle of the pipe maker's art. Seconds, or briar pipes that have tiny natural surface flaws, are sold at more attractive prices and give their owner exactly the same smoking pleasure as a first. The difference? Aesthetics and the pride of owning a perfect pipe. Heft a briar in your hand when considering its purchase. Lightweight briar is well-aged and offers a good-tasting, cool smoke. Meerschaum is German for sea foam. Created from small fossilized sea creatures, meerschaum can be found almost exclusively in Turkey, Asia Minor, and East Africa. Very lightweight and extremely porous, meerschaum offers a cool, unique smoking experience.
pipe carvers take advantage of meerschaum's tender nature to create real works of art. After a period of time, when properly cared for, a meerschaum will take on a distinctive, rich cherry color. Often passed on from generation to generation, many a man's meerschaum pipe has become a family heirloom. Just how do you go about selecting a fine wine, the right suit, or a smoking pipe? By personal taste, by lifestyle, and with the advice of a trained specialist. The well-established professional tobacconist can lay an endless variety of smoking instruments before you and give you advice as to which best complements you, your lifestyle, and appearance. Not every shaped pipe will match every smoker. Paul, Church Warden, Dublin, Bulldog, Prince, Pot, Canadian, Poker, Billiard, Apple. The well-stocked tobacconist not only carries the standard shapes, but unique, one-of-a-kind freehand pipes as well. Choosing your pipe is only the beginning. Now to select your tobacco. Almost all pipe tobaccos belong to one of the two basic groups, those used as the base of a blend and those that add flavor and aroma. Before you acquire a preference for a particular blend, your advisor has taken the trouble to prepare a variety of tobacco formulas to the specifications of Europe's most prestigious tobacconists. He'll pick the ideal blend to start you on your way to a cool, dry smoke. After choosing the blend, first gravity feed the tobacco into the bowl of the pipe. Level off the excess and then gently press the tobacco down about 2/3 from the top. Now, gravity feed the tobacco again into the bowl. Press slightly harder, this time about 1/3 from the top. Finally, gravity feed the tobacco to overflowing and press firmly. The tobacco should be slightly springy and level with the top of the pipe bowl. A word of caution. Don't be a hyper piper. Move the match slowly around the outside edge of the tobacco and take long puffs. Next, tamp the ashes gently, pressing them down lightly upon the unburned tobacco. As you relight, puff rhythmically. Blow gently into the stem between puffs. This feeds air to the base of the bowl, just as a bellows feeds a forge. You want to eventually create a cake of carbon in the heel or bottom of the pipe to improve the draft and assure complete combustion and a cool, enjoyable smoke. Do smoke the tobacco all the way to the bottom, but smoke slowly. If your pipe becomes uncomfortably hot to the touch, set it aside to cool. Don't knock the ashes of your first load out of the pipe. Simply fluff the loose ash out and keep a gray ash residue in the bottom. This is the start of the cake in your pipe. Now, sit back and relax. It's really quite simple. A smoking pipe cinch. The professional tobacconist who gave you advice on choosing a pipe will show you how to care for it as well. Rest your pipe at least a full day after smoking it to give the tars and moisture a chance to dry out. Use a pipe cleaner with stiff bristles before and after each smoke to absorb liquid residues. A reamer is a tool that adjusts to fit the shape of the bowl to gently scrape off the occasional overabundance of carbon deposits. A tamper is an essential tool used for packing down the burning tobacco within the bowl. Your tobacconist can show you a vast assortment of pipe tools and tampers, many combined in one. At home, be sure to place your pipe at the proper drainage angle with the bowl lower than the stem. Since dry tobacco smokes fast and hot, and wet tobacco smokes wet and bitter, it's wise to invest in a humidor that will keep your tobacco as fresh as the day you bought it. A humidrol, or a tobacco moisturizer, soaked once a week in water and placed deep in your tobacco, will assure a clean smoke every time. And remember that when you try a new blend, it takes at least 6 loads to burn away the old flavor before you can enjoy the true taste of the new tobacco. The previous blend you smoked tends to linger in the pipe and needs to burn away. Many would-be pipe smokers have purchased a pipe only to try it once, have a hot or bitter taste in their mouth, and then give up pipe smoking before they even got started. A bitter taste could be due to no cake in the heel of the pipe, tobacco that is packed too tightly, or low-quality tobacco. Feel free to discuss such problems with your professional tobacconist, who can certainly remedy the situation. There's no such thing as a one-pipe piper. Since it's necessary to let your pipe rest and dry out before you smoke it, owning and smoking a number of pipes makes a lot of sense. By rotating your pipes, you'll be able to have a variety of shapes and tastes at your disposal. You may choose a briar today, a meerschaum tomorrow, or perhaps a briar with a meerschaum lining the day after. You may want to own a pipe for the opening of a Lafitte Rothschild, the closing of a deal, the beginning of a collection, or the ending of the day. Since there's a wide range of cost as well as quality differences in smoking pipes, it's best to do business with a reputable professional tobacconist. He should be able to advise you about pipes, cigars, all blends of tobaccos, give you gift ideas, and, most importantly, stand behind every product he sells. By buying from a truly professional, well-trained tobacconist, you are assured excellent service and consistent quality in tobaccos and pipes almost anywhere in the country. Enjoy a smoking experience. Throughout history, man has carried his pipe as a reliable friend for emotional comfort and mental calm. Give a man a pipe he can smoke, give a man a book he can read, and his home is bright with a calm delight, though the room be poor indeed.
So that was 1978. The Tinderbox brings me back. I grew up in suburban Dayton, Ohio, and in Albemarle, North Carolina, which was close to Charlotte, which they had Eastland Mall, which was a great mall, and there was a Tinderbox there. At one point, my dad smoked a pipe, so some of this resonates with me. He gave it up, though, at some point. What am I talking about? Thank you, Rebecca, for some coffee. Obviously, I needed a little bit more to push me over the top. Yeah, so like I said, that last film, Pipe Dreams, was something that they would offer to TV stations. They would say, hey, you're looking for some content for free or little to nothing? You know, we'll send you this film, and it's about informational film about picking your first pipe. And of course, ultimately, it's an ad for Tinderbox. But Yeah, so they were successful about this. Walter J. Klein wrote a book about it. His sons both produced these. Yeah, it was a business that thrived, I think, until probably the 80s. And that collection, all their films are at the School of the Arts in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And ultimately, when the pandemic gets over, I'll probably get a bunch and we'll digitize more of them and make them available. So, there you go. All right, this next film is it's a safety film. It's Let George Do It. And I'm wondering, based on the title, does that mean that George ultimately is not going to do it? Or has forgotten, or something has happened where George is unable to do it? So let's find out. Let's George do it.
Hello, Mary.
Hi, Ron. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
I might have known you would pick today to get back to work.
How come?
The weather. It suddenly turned cool, balmy, and beautiful.
It's been a little hot here?
Terrible. And sticky. Come on. Go ahead, make me miserable. How was Acapulco?
Sunshine, great surf, wonderful food, and cool nights. You know, I didn't even get sick. And how do you like my tan?
It looks terrible. Acapulco, isn't that where those kids dive off the cliff into the sea?
Yeah, and that's one thing I didn't like.
Why not?
Well, you know how dangerous that is?
Once a safety director, always a safety director.
Yeah, you're right. But you know, seriously, every time I saw those divers, I thought about you and this place and the people on the planet. So, tell me, what's been going on here?
Well, let's see. Inspection schedule was kept. Supervisors turned in reports of safety contacts.
Okay.
Oh, purchasing wants to see you before they sign the contract on that new drying oven.
Okay, I'll call them today.
And about the usual number of first aid cases, nothing big.
That's all?
Most of it can wait, but there were 3 accidents I wanted to talk to you about. Not serious ones, just different. They all seem to have something in common.
Do you think we might have a little epidemic starting?
Well, at least if there's a pattern in them, maybe we can stop it by training people to recognize the symptoms.
Okay, I might as well get right back into harness. Tell me about it.
Now, this first one involved 2 electricians. You know Al Sorrentino?
Sure.
Well, he and his partner, Dick McCann, were running a new conduit down aisle J. They got to the corner of aisle 5. Dick was supposed to place the warning cones and stand guard while Al locked the wheels on the rolling scaffold and climbed up. What happened was that while Joe was locking the wheels, Dick went to get the cones, and somebody in the machine shop called to Dick, and he walked over to talk to the guy. Meanwhile, Al got the wheels locked and had just gotten started up the ladder when a forklift came down the intersecting aisle. Now, that's aisle 5. The driver couldn't see the scaffolding. At the corner, he made a tight turn and saw the scaffolding and tried to swerve out, but he struck one leg of it.
And poor old Al took a fall.
That he did. He was just lucky he hadn't climbed higher.
Well, it was a blind corner for the truck driver, and there weren't any cones out to warn him.
McCann felt really terrible about that. He said that in another minute he would have had the cones in place.
Sure, and Al figured everything was okay. All he had to do was climb up there and do his job. He didn't wait to make sure that the cones were in place.
No, he didn't check. Now, that was the first case. Now, here's another one. This one was caused by a defective drill. First, the drill had a short in it. And second, someone had removed the ground prong from an extension cord he got in the tool room.
Well, that just about tells the story, doesn't it?
Except for the details, you can guess what happened. Anyway, 2 maintenance men, Ken Camp and Boy Grady, were working on a job. Ken went around to the tool room and picked up a drill and an extension cord. When he got back to the work area, he hooked it all up and handed it to Grady.
How seriously was he hurt?
got a hell of a jolt. Luckily, he wasn't frozen, so he let go of the trigger, and he didn't fall off the ladder.
Well, it was sure lousy equipment maintenance. Somebody in the tool room should have checked out that drill.
Of course. And Camp should never have accepted a cord that was missing the ground prong.
Well, why did he?
Well, he said he just didn't look at the plug. Said that he figured that whatever would come out of the tool room would be okay. His supervisor didn't think much of that excuse. Really chewed him out.
Oh, sure, he was wrong. And whoever should have done the checking in the tool room was wrong. But you know, the one who really interests me in that case is Foy Grady.
Why? He was sort of mousetrapped, wasn't he?
Ah, but he shouldn't have been. I'm beginning to think that what we've got here are two examples of the let George do it syndrome.
What?
The let George do it syndrome. I'll explain it to you later, but first, you said there was a third accident, didn't you?
Yes. Here we are. The injured man was Carl Schultz, the drill press operator. The setup man had completed his setup and Schultz had started work, and he finished 2 out of the 4 drilling operations. Everything was all right, and then he started on the 3rd drill. The backup bar wasn't tight. Schultz placed the fixture he was working with against the bar and started the drill. Under pressure, the bar gave, and the fixture began to spin. Schultz caught a corner that really sliced up his finger good.
So, the setup man didn't tighten the bar enough, and Schultz didn't check.
Right. He just assumed that... Of course. I see what you mean. Let George do what you said. But we all have to let George do it, don't we? I mean, nobody can do all the jobs himself.
Oh, sure. We have to divide up the work. This is a very specialized world, but still it's easy to get used to having George do it. That's the other side of specialization. It's easy after a while to assume that George has done it, even when your physical safety and sometimes your life are at stake.
Look, Ron, you know me. I've been sitting here thinking. So what do we do about it? I mean, suppose we use these cases in the next training program. What do we say about them? What do we do about George?
Good question. I think first we talk to Schultz and Grady and Al Sorrentino, but they've probably already learned their lesson. What we've got to worry about are all the people who could get hurt if they do the same thing and take George too much for granted. We've got to get across to them. Protect yourselves. Check the wheel chocks on the truck. Check the lockout on the machine. Check behind the vehicle before you back up. Don't count on someone else. Be responsible for your own safety. Don't take anything for granted.
Sure, we can do that. But what about George? Do we talk to him too?
You bet we do. Oh, I know you don't have to talk to George after he's goofed and somebody got hurt, or at least you don't have to talk much. I'll bet Dick McCann did feel lousy when Al got hurt because he hadn't put out those safety cones. No, the trick is to talk to George before he goofs.
How do we do that? Nobody ever messes up on purpose.
Well, that's exactly right. The point is that George is everywhere. He could be anybody. Like all of us, he does his job right most of the time, but occasionally he slips up and there's trouble. I remember something that happened to me 10 years ago when I was a department supervisor. There were acid tanks in my section, so of course we had emergency showers. Well, one of the valves on a shower began to leak, and I reported it. They sent a maintenance man over to fix it. He turned off the water, hung up a sign saying, "Out of order," and then he went to work. When he finished the job, he took down the sign, came over to me, and said the shower was fixed. I thanked him and signed his work order. Naturally, it was my business to check the shower. I knew that, and I was thinking about it. But just then, somebody came up and said I was needed right away. So I went off and did whatever it was I was wanted for. The shower was still turned off. But when I got back, I didn't remember to check. I suppose I assumed that everything was all right.
So what happened?
Well, it was one of those times when you don't get away with making a mistake. A few days later, one of the men was splashed with acid and ran over to the shower. Nothing happened. No water.
Wow. I get your point. So you assumed that the maintenance man had done his job and old George hadn't done it?
Oh, it was worse than that. That poor fellow who got burned and stepped under a dry shower, I was the one who hadn't done my job. I was George. Mary, your 3 accidents are all related, and the pattern is likely to show up again. It cuts 2 ways. When you're responsible for the safety of others, and we all are sometimes, don't be George, the sort of George who didn't do it. And where it's a matter of your personal safety, don't rely on George. Always check.
I hope we can get those 2 ideas across. But it won't be easy.
Oh, I know, but we gotta try. There are easier ways to learn than by getting hurt or by hurting others.
Aren't we all, George? It didn't have the complete payoff that many of the safety films have, which is showing some sort of accident happening and, you know, like, somebody holding up bloody stumps or holding their face. But this film was made for management, obviously. It's like, you know what? You can tell your employees everything about it, but if you're not checking up on it, then you're George. All right, let's see what we got here. This film is about our productive industry, and I think that this is also made by Pat Dowling Films, the same people that made The Service Station that we watched a little bit earlier. So here we go. Lots of beautiful footage of how productive our industry is, circa 50s. Enjoy.
In the beginning, America was a raw land of forests from which homes could be built and people kept warm, of rivers and lakes which could be traversed for exploration, and of soil which could be cultivated for food and dug into for mineral wealth. Such were the natural resources with which we started as a nation less than 200 years ago. In this relatively short portion of civilized time, we have become the most extensively developed industrial nation in the world. Our people have accomplished this because of several important factors. They learned to use machines to relieve human drudgery. They were ambitious to work and save money and invest in businesses. Their methods resulted in the most things for the most people, the highest standard of living of any nation. Since earliest times, our people have always wanted and needed a lot of things, just like they do today. And people were anxious to go into business and make something to satisfy human wants and needs. But making things slowly by hand, like this old clock was made, wasn't fast enough. The need for a better method was apparent. Before 1798, guns were all slowly handmade one at a time, and it was rarely that any of the parts would fit any other similar gun. In those days, large quantities of muskets were urgently needed by our young government. Eli Whitney, the inventor, realized that large quantities of each of the parts should be made all exactly alike. So he contracted to produce in that manner and quickly assembled 10,000 muskets like this one. The parts of all of them fit and were interchangeable. Whitney's method established a pattern for mass production. Our first industries had grown up from simple beginnings. Early settlers used the natural resource of water power to run grist mills and sawmills. Soon larger mills and factories were built along the riverbanks, all using flowing water for their power. There was one great disadvantage. The power could be used only as far away as belts could reach from the water wheel. Steam engines to run factory machines were a step in developing industries. But steam power was also limited for a time to use at only one location. But Thomas A. Edison designed the first central electric generating plant using steam to create electric power and send it out to users as far as a mile away. Today, large quantities of electric power are created in central steam generating plants and by falling water at hydroelectric powerhouses. The power is now sent out long distances to turn the machines in thousands of manufacturing plants in all parts of the nation. With plenty of power available, our processing plants, mills, and factories now turn out quickly and in large quantities the thousands of things that people need and use. Our system of manufacturing and assembly follows that pioneered by Eli Whitney. For example, this modern machine contains many parts, and each part is produced in large quantities, all precise in size and shape. Thus, the assembly of many complete machines is simplified. Our automotive industry, building cars and trucks by the millions each year, is typical of how mass production has developed to a highly efficient system. Our first cars and trucks, produced in the early part of this century, were all practically handmade. Based on the value of money at the time, they were very expensive, and only a few people could have them. Henry Ford's first car was mostly a handmade job, created one piece at a time. But Ford soon started a production line, assembling cars faster from quantities of all the parts on hand. A modern assembly line draws on other factories and many sections of the nation for the multitude of parts of a car or truck. The engine itself contains many parts, and these parts come from several other manufacturing plants. Many farmers are growing cotton, and some of it will make the cords in the tires. Elsewhere, a petroleum refinery is producing the basic material which goes into the paint. Another plant is turning out miles of copper wire, a great deal of which will be wound into generators and starters. Out of the processes in another factory comes the glass for windows and doors. In other plants, machine tools that perform many operations turn out huge quantities of the nuts and bolts that will hold the other parts together. Engines and other parts are joined onto the frames on an assembly line until finally complete cars emerge. Thus, the cars and trucks represent a cross-section of American industries. The circle of production widens as many large and small suppliers depend upon each other and contribute to the whole finished product. Mass production and mass distribution of the products of industry were able to advance because of our outstanding transportation system, which developed alongside of the nationwide spread of manufacturing. At the time when muskets and cast iron plows were shipped out west by wagon, the pace was too slow for American industry. Early canals served for a time, but their areas of service were limited. Railroads finally spanned the continent and were a great impetus to trade. Then a network of good highways brought farms and raw material resources and industries still closer together and enabled them to work together. We are using our rails, our waterways, highways, and airplane runways at their full capacity. The foods and fibers and manufactured goods of America are increasingly on the move, and our industries constantly widen. Americans live under a political system conducive to ambition and progress. This helps our industries to expand and advance. Our great leaders of government have all realized the need of encouraging and protecting the efforts of individuals. So our scientists and inventors have the incentive to keep finding new ways to make use of our resources of raw materials. They think of new products to make and improvements on the familiar ones. They constantly improve the tools and methods of manufacturing to produce useful goods easier and of better quality. In such ways, Americans make this country a land of plenty.
Hey, I'm back. So, industry is what makes America great. Kinda. There's lots of films that talk about how industry makes America great. And, yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Very much appreciate you guys watching and contributing and commenting. I'm not going to get political, but I am going to get just a little bit political. Please vote. Please vote. Please vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but please vote. Get out and vote. Vote for everybody that you feel matches what is important to you. Do the research. Please vote. Vote, vote, vote. And I'll probably be talking more about this later. Just really, it's important. So, vote. Vote, vote, vote. All right, that's enough of me. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow, we'll come back again, 1 o'clock. We'll watch some more wonderful films. I'm excited because we're actually digging into some 16 that I just haven't seen. Like, I'm going to the archive in the afternoons when my assistant has left, and I'm pulling films. I'm like, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. Oh, this is great. So you guys are getting to see some premieres of things that I just haven't seen, like the Let George Do It. I don't think I've seen that. So thank you for coming along on this journey and watching these films. As per usual, please rewind, love each other, smiley face, peace sign, and we will see you again tomorrow. Everybody take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Bye.